We've got some good news when it comes to dealing with cancer, at least one specific form of rectal cancer. There was a clinical trial for a new immunotherapy drug that dealt with a very specific form of this specific type of cancer, and it was successful in causing literally every one of the people who was treated with it to go into remission. Now, admittedly, it is a small scale study, and as I've said multiple times, it's a limited form of rectal cancer, but this is already being greeted by a lot of people who write about medical news and the continuing war against cancer as maybe the beginning of a game changer. So let me give you some of the details. The drug was administered at New York's Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. It is a drug called dostarlimab. They used it for 6 months, and the trial resulted in every single one of the patients having their tumors removed. 18 people were treated, and they're admitting that there is still a lot that needs to be learned about how the treatment worked. But I want to give you some details about what makes this so special, not just in terms of how successful it was, but in comparison to other forms of treatments for cancer. So Dr. David Agus says, this new treatment is a type of immunotherapy, a treatment that blocks the don't eat me signal on cancer cells, enabling the immune system to eliminate them. The treatment targeted a subtype of rectal cancer that has the DNA repair system not working. When this system isn't working, there are more errors in proteins, and the immune system recognizes these and kills the cells. But here's the most amazing thing about it. They did not have to accompany this with the traditional way that you fight cancer, things like chemotherapy and those other sorts of things. They just used this, and it was successful. And that's important because, as doctors have described in other articles I've seen, traditional form, chemotherapy, surgeries, things like that can be used for many forms of rectal cancer, and they might even be successful. But even when they're successful, simply having undergone that can have very serious effects on your body. Doctors say that there are people who they've successfully treated for rectal cancer that cannot leave the house anymore because of fears of things like incontinence and the shame associated with that and all that. So this isn't just more successful than the traditional surgeries, it is far less deleterious, the effect that it has on the human body.
I have even more good news, and it's about weight loss, so everybody's gonna be interested in that.
I don't know that part.
Okay, no, it's not in the story. But before I get to that, I'm just gonna make the most random point here. The online platforms have built the algorithms in a way that it loves conflict. So I don't know, I'm super curious whether this good news is gonna do well online, right? So I was thinking of labeling this doctors versus your rectum. Conflict. Okay.
Your rectum goes down.
And then it goes up. No, all right. Okay.
I'm glad I already finished my ice cream. Anyway.
Okay, so back to the good news. There's no actual conflict here. Although there's I love science. So anyone telling you that science doesn't work, nonsense, science saved my life. And that's what leads me to this part. So I have a friend who's a PhD in cell biology, and he tracks all of these as part of his job. And he worked in the top cancer lab in the world. I'm super proud of him. And so he's the smart guy I go to for medical advancement stories. And he called me the other day because I was worried about my dad. And there's a new drug that is not yet approved, but might really help eliminate Alzheimer's. That would be awesome. Okay, that would be awesome. So hold it as, and all the stuff that he shares is public information. He just reads the meta studies and all of that stuff, right? And then he said, oh, there's good news. There's a drug coming out that might actually, for the first time, work on weight loss. And I was like, okay, hold up. Don't worry about the rectal cancer. Don't worry about Alzheimer's. Tell me more about that drug. Tell me, give me. He said, yeah, they'll probably recommend it to someone like you. Gee, I wonder why. Okay, no, he's being honest about it because I'm overweight enough that a doctor would say, oh, you qualify. Okay, so, and he says, it usually takes off about 20 pounds. I was like, get out of the way.
How quickly?
Get out of the way. Right? So, I mean, I'd hit that harder than a buffet.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd take the medicine and then a booster just to be sure, but yeah.
Yeah.
When's that coming?
Not tomorrow, but relatively soon. No, relatively soon. So I'll have to talk to him about that again. But guys, I'm telling you all this because science rocks. All it is just an examination of what's real and what's true. That's all science means. We get into these debates, science versus religion, right, or faith. It's ridiculous. First of all, it's not a debate, although we could do it that way. Conflict, science versus non-science, facts versus, I don't know.
Religion versus your rectum, whatever.
Right. So, but it's just an examination of the actual material world and how it interacts with other things. So in this case, cancer has that thing that says, your body should not attack me. That's why it spreads so much. And all they did was analyze until they're like, oh, we found it. We found a way to switch that off, right? I love science.
Yeah.
And finally, the part about how it saved my life, I've said this a couple of times. I had a very rare skin disease in my early 30s, and what that does is it basically melts your skin off until you die. Okay, but thank God they came up with treatment in the 70s, 80s, in that ballpark. So pretty recently. I'm not talking 1870s. I'm talking 1970s, 1980s. In fact, my doctor said when he went to medical school that there's a single line of cells left at the end of your skin when you look under a microscope, and he had done that and he saw it. He said that we used to call that the row of tombstones, because if you saw that, you were looking at a dead man, okay?
Jeez.
But science saved my life. And so with a combination of insulin and steroids and not insulin, Imuron and prednisone, et cetera. Now they've got even better treatment, so you don't have to go through what I went through with the weight gain. That's why it happened. And I got the moon face and the whole thing, but it literally saved my life. And this story we're telling you here will save thousands and thousands of lives.
Yeah.
It's just an examination of what's true. That's all.
Yeah.
So no matter what you believe, you should love science.
Yeah. The only downside, each dose of the drug is $11,000 and you have to take it every 3 weeks for 6 months. They're gonna have to get that down a little bit.
Yeah.
But assuming that they can, that is great. Yes.
Well, I mean, look.
Science is expensive.
Well.
Because it works.
Yeah. So that's more complicated. Because I guarantee if you look into it, there was government research, and the taxpayers probably paid for some of it, and we're not getting any of those profits. And then there's the insurance and
and there's plenty of, if they want to put up the chart, there's plenty of cancer drugs and treatments right now that are way more expensive than that. So yeah, it's expensive.
No, our healthcare system is nuts. I mean, look, I love these drugs, and I don't mind the companies making a lot of money. Okay, God bless on that front. Okay,
Yeah.
But our system isn't about creating enough incentive for them to create those drugs. They have plenty of incentive. No, our system just layers on like billions, almost trillions in profits for corporate executives that don't need to be in the system at all.
100%.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's a completely different conversation. So I want to go back to science, yes, okay, and we can do the science without robbing us blind.
Exactly.
In fact, my mother-in-law, I mean, look at how crazy our system is. My mother-in-law had cancer. Luckily, it was stage 1, so she's okay. And then she was going to take a pill. It's not this one, obviously. It's a different kind of cancer, and it's a different pill, and it was approved earlier. But then we had like a week or two where we didn't know whether her insurance was going to cover it, and she has Medicare. And so we were on pins and needles, because then if the insurance doesn't cover it, it was something like this. It was like $10,000 a pill or $20,000 a pill, and she had to take like 50 of them or something.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody has that money. If the insurance doesn't cover it, you're done,
Yeah,
right? Then you're like, well, I guess we're on to stage 2. I mean, this is insane. This is totally insane. So luckily, Medicare did cover it. When we got the news, we like literally had a party. Like,
in most countries, that would not have been a thing you needed to celebrate.
No, she's from Taiwan. I mean, we were having conversations about this. She have to move back to Taiwan because America might let her die, but Taiwan would save her life. That's the country we live in. No, guys, look, I talk about corporate rule a lot. So we're here, we got about a couple of minutes left here. So why not get really serious at the end of an ice cream bonus episode?
If you need, I can lighten it up with something after.
Okay, no, in every part of our lives, corporations have set the rules, and they've done it through politicians. So the gun manufacturers have to make money, so our kids have to die. The drug companies have to make money, so sometimes if you can't afford the payments, and if you weren't lucky enough to be in Medicare, you have to die, right? I got the story in my book. and you guys might have seen an interview we did. Wonderful progressive out of Kansas. He was one of the original Justice Democrats. Got very serious stage 4 cancer, and they said the specialist is in Denver, and that's out of network. So he's like, "So what do you want me to do?" They're like, "Well, don't get it. Do something else." But I'm way more like, this is stage 4. I'm very likely to die if I don't get that specific treatment in Denver. They're like, don't care. And then finally his wife got a different job that had better healthcare coverage and allowed him to go out of network and saved his life. But this is the insanity that we live in because corporations have to make more money.
And why does your job or your partner's job have anything to do with any of this?
Our system, all of it, it's not, I keep saying insane, but it's actually not at all insane. It's very logical, you get it.
Yeah.
You know, they make tons of money. They give a tiny percentage to politicians. Politicians rig the rules, and we all have to suffer so that they can make more money.
Well, you know, one of the things that I felt really lucky when I got the job at TYT was that up until then I had wanted to buy my current car, a Scion IQ, but my insurance wouldn't cover it. So I had to get a new job. And then my insurance would cover the Scion. None of this makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why is this a system that we have? Anyway, glad that he was able to get the coverage that he needed.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat, emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.